I'm hopefully going to do a longer video on this later, but it's something I keep mentioning in a lot of my videos and I haven't talked about yet or done yet. But basically about John 15, the way how to be pruned, but also something that I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with is the whole being perfect, which means mature in your walk as well. And obviously this is for women. I'm only here to teach women, but to kind of give a quick rundown. So basically Yeshua is talking about abiding in the vine and abiding in the word, abiding in the commandments, the Father's commandments, his commandments, abiding in their love, and then obviously loving your neighbor as yourself. And it's like, what do those things mean? And so basically it's talking about, the word, like the scriptures, that's that's his word. The word, Father's word is truth. And then the commandments, it's talk about the 10 commandments, and then loving your neighbor as yourself, that's rebuking your neighbor and things like that. And obviously there's so much more that goes into it, but again, I'm only going to keep this like short, but I'm hoping to do a longer one on it. But it's like, okay, how do you get pruned? It's by doing the stuff he said in John 15, and that's basic. It's very essential to learn that in your walk, so that way you can be pruned and set free from sin. So don't believe the lies that the pastors are saying, that like, oh, it's impossible to stop sinning and stuff like that, because they're denying the power of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit can keep you from sin, especially willful sin, if you keep listening to that conviction that the Father puts on your heart. Then you can get pruned and sanctified in the word. That's why it's like, I think even Peter talks about it, about like you've been washed clean, purified. And I think it has shoot, I don't know, I'm gonna butcher it probably, but basically this is in regards to his truth, because the more you obey his truth, the more he's gonna prune you, the more he's gonna show you, the more he's gonna, and this is also what it goes with like the establishing you in your walk, making you mature, because the more you start walking with him, the less of the babe in the faith you're gonna be, and the more he's gonna quicken you by his Holy Spirit, and the more he's gonna mature you in your walk, so you're not gonna be the same. Like, who I am today is not the same as I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, right? It's been a process of pruning and sanctification, and it can take time and stuff like that, but you don't give up just because right away you're not understanding things and things like that. You have to just listen to his increase from the Holy Spirit, listen to that conviction and things like that. And again, the more you do that, the more he's going to help you overcome the flesh, so you can be pruned, you could be established, so you could be like Psalm 1, like a tree, so you could stand firm. And then also, so then you could be like, so then not only are you walking in his truth, but then so you can teach people his truth too, because again, like I was saying, you can't be a hypocrite or partial when you're doing this. And how do you stop being a hypocrite? How do you stop being a babe in the faith? How do you stop these things? Well, it's not by staying the same. It's not by, okay, I believe in Jesus, I'm good to go. No, there's something you have to do. And it's listening to him, essentially, is the quickest way. And simplest way to put it is by doing what he said to do, what he requires of you. And really, the more, that's what's going to help you in walking in the narrow path. This is what's going to help you to be established and stand firm in the faith, because the more you learn the milk, the more you can learn the meat, and the more established you'll get in your walk. So that way, because once you have his truth written on your mind and heart, then it's just like, naturally he's going to bring things back to remembrance and things like that. And not only that, then you also won't be tossed to and fro anymore, like as a babe, because babes are tossed to and fro, right? When they hear, like, because they're like, oh, this sounds right, but this sounds right, like, but what's really right? And the more you have that humble, contrite heart, the more he's going to show you, the more he'll increase also the knowledge. And John 15, I think, talks about that a little bit as well, but I'm hoping later to do a longer video on it. But basically, the way to be set free is as simple as submitting. It's submitting to God, and then that way you could be set free by walking out, your salvation with fear and trembling. You're not going to live the same life you once lived when he's pruning you of your sin, of the leaven inside your heart and things like that. And he's also going to mature you in the sense of, like, so not only will you be established in your walk, so you're not living in the same life you once lived and things like that, the more he's also going to help you to handle each situation, each person. He's going to give you that discernment from him and things like that, so then you know how to be with each one, just like how Yeshua knew how to be with each one because the Father was with him. And you want Yeshua and the Father to abide with you and his Holy Spirit, but it's only going to happen if you submit to him, if you start obeying him and doing things his way, and then teaching your neighbor to do so as well, out of faith. This is faith. This is how you get established. This is how faith turns to belief, which is obedience. This is what you want to be. You have to build your foundation on the rock that was given at Horeb, and the rock is also Messiah, and then out of the rock comes the living water, which is the Spirit. But the Spirit first, but before you get the Spirit of truth, you have to start circumcise your heart to obey God, which is by keeping the 10 Commandments. And then that way you get the Spirit of truth that will lead you and guide you to all the truth. So then you could teach other people how to be led and guided into all the truth as well. And I know I'm saying so much right now, and I don't have much time, but I don't know. I'm hoping to do a longer video on this later because it is something to talk about, because a lot of people think, well, you can't be perfect, you can't be this way and blah blah blah, but perfect doesn't mean this little definition of perfect where you're prim and proper, you know, the way how the church is, like, oh, like the outward stuff where you're wearing suits, ties, and you're not swearing, cussing, and things like that. No, the mature and perfect that you are is like essentially, for one, it starts with you. It starts in your own walk. It starts with obedience to the Father. And the more you do that, again, the more He'll prune. So then the more perfect you can become in that sense. His perfect, His righteousness, and His ways. And then you can teach your neighbor to do so. And then you'll have that, like, it's like, you'll be perfect, I guess, towards other people. Like, you know how Yeshua ends Matthew 5 basically saying about be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. But I think it's like before that or during that, he then starts talking about then love your enemies and things like that. So eventually, like, maybe at first you'll start loving your family, you know, teaching them the truth, sharing the truth with them, like the little that you know, but eventually you're going to start doing that with anyone and everyone, whoever he leads you and guides you to do so, like with, and you're going to also have a forgiving heart, and there's so much that goes into it. So I'm hoping later to hopefully explain it better, but I hope the little that I said on this can help someone, because really it's just something that you have to learn, something you have to read, so then that way, again, so you can be quick and so you can actually get matured in the faith, because perfect love, mature love, cast out fear. But whoever has not been made perfect, matured in love, you know, basically there's still gonna be fear. I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but it's in 1 John 4. But anyways, I have to go to work and stuff like that, get ready. So I don't know. I'm hoping to make another one later. But yeah.